I've been bullied about my weight since I was 11 years old. She started out at 198 pounds, and she's down to 140 pounds.
Does anybody disagree that if we can stop childhood obesity from a health standpoint, that we should?
What happens when you put a child on a diet is that you actually...
Nobody said anything about dieting. You're wanting to ignore health because you want to run a social agenda. This may sound shocking to you, but we've reframed an obesity epidemic that affects nearly 20% of children in America, and we know it will have significant lifelong health consequences: heart disease, breathing problems, joint problems, gallstones, anxiety, depression, greater risk of stroke, and many types of cancer. Now, that's some pretty negative outcomes, don't you think? So how are we going to handle it? By embracing the body positivity movement? It's a movement that promotes acceptance of all bodies, regardless of size, shape, skin tone, gender, and physical abilities. Even those who push body positivity have fallen victim to the tragic effects of obesity. Now, these 4 social media influencers were swept up by the movement that claims obesity is perfectly healthy. The tragic truth is they have all died under the age of 45 from health issues related to obesity. Now look, there's nothing wrong with loving ourselves or our bodies if we're being realistic about what love means. Now, Susie and her 14-year-old son both had a reality check when they were each pushing over 300 pounds. Susie says she found a miracle way to lose weight, and now she wants her son to have a shot to thinness as well.
I'm here to share my weight loss journey using doctor-prescribed GLP-1 medication and taking my son Jeremiah, who's 14, on the same journey.
It's always been really difficult for me to lose weight. I've never been into sports. I didn't really have any interest in doing football, soccer, anything like that. I tried doing keto and it just wasn't for me. Too many limitations.
When the pandemic came, Jeremiah was gaining so much weight. He started turning to emotional eating as well.
I was really bored and I feel like it was a lot of just binge eating. I was just downing a bag of chips and I wouldn't even notice. My dad showed concern for it. He would go into my room and just see all these packages everywhere. I would say I had a bit of a depression room. It was always dark in there. I just felt numb whenever I was emotionally eating. The only thing that was on my mind was food. At my heaviest, I was probably around like 350. That's whenever my mom came to me about the shots and how it was similar to this drug I had been seeing all over TikTok. And so I was really interested. And the first week I noticed instant results. I was not hungry for probably like the first 3 days. At one point I was losing a pound a day. The next dosage wasn't available. We couldn't get our hands on it. I've gained like 5 pounds back. It's difficult because I'm hungry kind of like all the time, and it's okay to be hungry, but it's not okay to starve, and I just kind of don't know the difference between the two because I don't know if I'm eating too much or too little. Once I get the shot again, I think it'll be smooth sailing.
Well, welcome to you both.
Thank you for having us, Dr. Phil.
What made you realize that you had to take control of your weight, that you really wanted to make a change?
A doctor visit. When they're telling you you can die of this weight that you have on your body, that is something that I can control, right? So I was told that I was borderline diabetic and that I was potentially going to die of a stroke if I didn't lower my blood pressure. So that was my moment. Like, my children need me and I need to do something to change and lower my body weight.
Okay. And Jeremiah, do you feel like your current weight is a problem to you in the way you live your life, feel about things, choose activities?
I would say yes and no. Emotionally, I really don't feel like it's affected me a bunch, but I feel like physically, you know, just different things. Like being on a plane, it's a little bit like tighter, and like finding clothes, it's a little bit harder than for people who aren't obese and heavier. So I feel like it's a give and take, yes and no.
You say the quarantine was hard for you.
Yeah.
How so?
There was nobody to keep me accountable. There was nobody there watching me. And I feel like before, even though I was heavier, I feel like I gained a lot of weight just emotionally eating all the time during quarantine.
And how do you feel about what's identified mostly on the internet as the body positivity movement?
I think it's dangerous to be promoting that it's okay to be unhealthy, especially as a mom of teenage kids. They're influenced by what they watch. And so I was very fearful that they would embrace this body positivity. I think it has a give and take to Jeremiah's point. I think it's great that people feel great about what they look like, but they should really prioritize their health.
Yeah. You were bullied at school.
Yeah, in elementary school.
And do you go to school now?
No, I'm homeschooled right now.
Why?
Last year was a little bit rough for me, mentally and also physically. So I just took a year to just work on my mental health, work on my physical health, and just take a year to take a break from everybody. And even social media, I haven't been on there. I'm just taking a break completely from my peers.
How do you feel about the body positivity movement?
I think it's fake. I think, honestly, people are just using that as a cover-up. Nobody's gonna be extremely excited that they're fat. And if you are, that's not exciting. That's not something to be proud of.
Well, let me weigh in on this right up front, because I want to be very clear about my position on this. A lot of people don't like to take positions. I take positions. I think the body positivity movement is really dangerous if they're glamorizing that, oh, hey, this is great, this is okay, it's, you just need to go with it.
I agree.
I think what's also dangerous is if you allow your self-image to vary with your body image. You've lost how much weight?
40 pounds this year.
You're not a better person because you're less here.
Agreed.
You weren't a worse person when you had 40 more pounds on you.
My
you have the
husband would
same
agree with
spirit, you have the same heart, you have the same devotion to your children and your family. You're not a better person because of how much you don't weigh or how much you did weigh. To that extent, I agree with body positivity. What I don't agree with is glamorizing that, hey, this is a good thing, that we should celebrate being overweight.
And promoting obesity.
That to me is where they lose me. Your self-image should not go up when your weight is where you want it to be and down when it's not. Those things should not vary together. Do you follow what I'm saying?
I agree.
It's a big deal, and I'm going to talk about that a lot. Susie says the semaglutide shot has been a miracle for her struggles with food and weight. In 10 months, she said she lost nearly 40 pounds. Now, Susie says her 14-year-old son, Jeremiah, is following in her footsteps, struggling with his weight. She says the pandemic and social media just didn't really help.
I am on TikTok avidly. I love just scrolling on my For You page. And of course I do see those mukbangs. Mukbang, it was invented in Korea, and it's pretty much somebody recording themselves eating a good amount of food and just eating in front of a camera, talking, consuming all of that. It makes you want to eat it. This is the last bite of the burger.
Social media has made an impact on Jeremiah's life. They're called influencers for a reason. And so when you find something that interests you, you're gonna go down a deep rabbit hole and spend hours and hours scrolling. Again, you're in a pandemic. TikTok is taking off. The children's eating habits definitely changed. Oh, let's make the frothy coffee. Oh, I just saw this recipe on, how to bake a cake from a mug in the microwave. Like there was one of the chicharron challenge where you deep fry a pork belly and you dip it into guacamole. When you are trying out a recipe on the internet, on social media, that doesn't give you the calories. He definitely needs nutrition. I don't think he has the mental maturity to understand what it can do to your body.
Okay, so Susie, what's your journey been like on this?
I take these weekly shots and it helps me feel full and it gives me the control that I need to make the right choices of the foods that I should be eating.
Okay. And you've tried to lose that 40 pounds for how long before?
I've been trying to lose this 40 pounds since the last 3 years. Okay. I started a new job and I was back at a heavy weight, and I knew that eventually I was going to meet these people in person. And you know, you can only look so beautiful and thin behind a Zoom. So I try to, you know, follow trainers on the internet. I tried to try different diets, but it just wasn't sustainable for me, and I didn't feel motivated. I lost my sense of community.
Okay. Zoom doesn't have filters like...
Yes, you can do that.
It does?
Yes, it does. Yeah, it does. They could.
That's what I should do. Look like I have a cat on my head. So it's worked for you. Have there been downsides to it?
There are some side effects where when you first start taking it, you feel tired, a little bit of nausea. So that's really the only thing that I went through.
Why do you feel like your son needs to be on the same thing?
I'm worried about his health. He's a very confident person, and I've always instilled in that. Don't worry about what people think about you, but I want him to be a healthier version of himself so that he can achieve the things that he wants to do in life.
Have you started taking the medication?
I had the medication for about a month, and it was really successful, but we could not get the next dosage for it since it's at such a high demand.
Jeremiah, you say having less hunger makes you feel more in control. Mm-hmm. Have you done other things? Have you taken your own destiny in your hands and worked hard and gotten out on the track, broken a sweat, put together a healthy eating program?
Yeah, I wouldn't have breakfast. I would do intermittent fasting, and then I would go for a 3-mile walk, which only took like around an hour, then start my school, and then I would have like a salad or a sandwich for lunch, and then have like pretty much whatever I wanted for dinner and save my calories for dinner.
Yeah, you don't want to go on a diet.
No.
Right? You want to get a lifestyle that you can sustain across time.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's no way to do this in a sustainable way without working hard. I mean, you get that, right?
Yeah.
Coming up, we're going to meet a mother who lost over 100 pounds on this injection, semaglutide. So she decided to put her 15-year-old daughter on it too. We're going to meet them next and see what they have to say. According to the National Association of Anorexia Nervosa and Associated Disorders, girls as young as 6 years old start to worry about their weight. 6 years old. And by 14 years old, 60 to 70% are trying to lose weight. Now, risk of developing an eating disorder is 18 times greater than their non-dieting peers. Now, hear what I just said. 18 times greater. Now, Deana says that she's been overweight since she was 10 years old. It's a battle she's fought all of her life until she found the semaglutide medication, where she's now lost 100 pounds. So she decided to put her 15-year-old daughter on it as well.
I started taking GLP-1 medications October 31st of 2022. And I went from 366 pounds, and I just weighed in today at 229 pounds. I have tried so many different methods as far as losing weight. However, the thing that's different with the GLP-1 medication is up here. I'm not thinking about food all the time. My daughter Demi has seen me on my journey with the GLP-1 medication. And when they come out on the market for 12 to 18-year-olds, she asked me what I thought about her starting her own journey.
Ready? My first memory of struggling with my weight is the summer after 6th grade. I was hungry a lot and I would constantly eat chips and I gained 20 pounds.
She started out at 198 pounds and she's down to 140 pounds.
First one, how do you feel?
It was kind of scary because I didn't know how to do it.
At the end of the first month, I'd probably lost a total of 10 pounds. This medicine has not only helped me want to live my life, but it's also made it a lot easier to.
I have seen my daughter's journey cause her to blossom in so many ways. What parent does not want their child to just flourish and blossom in life?
Well, thank both of you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
This has been a lifelong issue, right?
Absolutely.
And you've seen doctors about this.
Yes. A lot of times doctors in the past have said diet and exercise, calories in, calories out. Mm-hmm. And I've done that my whole entire life. Mm-hmm. Calories in, calories out. Mm-hmm. And even gone to the extremes of having a weight loss surgery 20-some years ago. Mm-hmm. And even with the weight loss surgery, I still didn't lose all of the weight that they had anticipated losing. I still had the food noise in my brain of wanting more food even when I knew I wasn't hungry. Mm-hmm. And so then I found the GLP-1 medications many years later.
Mm-hmm. And how's that worked for you?
The GLP-1 medication has been a game changer completely. It's like nothing I have ever experienced in my life. Mm-hmm. And for the first time in my 51 years of life, I feel like, for a lack of words, a normal person around food. Mm-hmm. There's no other way to explain it.
Demi, this is something that you've had to deal with as well. Mm-hmm. You've been bullied at school.
Yes.
How so?
I've been bullied about my weight since I was about 11 years old. Uh-huh. I even had a best friend who bullied me about my weight a lot. Even went to the extremes of if I went to her house, I couldn't eat anything and I had to work out with her, constantly comparing our sizes. It was just really hard because I thought that's what a friend was. So I didn't know any different. And I thought that was completely normal to be treated that way. And I've battled bullying with my weight up until about this upcoming school year.
Mm-hmm. This affect how you felt about yourself?
Yes, a lot.
What did you say to yourself?
I felt just disgusted by my body. I remember there would be times I would just stand in the mirror and look at myself and hold the extra weight that I had, and I would just cry because I hated who I saw. And that led to me having really bad mental health issues, even to the point where I started self-harming.
Mm-hmm. You say that your pediatrician is hesitant to prescribe the meds that you're wanting to do. They finally relented, but were hesitant?
Yes, at first, she really wasn't on board with doing it. And I said, well, doctor, first off, you prescribed it to me. So obviously you're on board with the medication to begin with. And I realized that she's your first teenager that you're gonna be prescribing it to. And if I didn't think it was something that would benefit my child, or if it was something that would be harmful to my child, I would not ask you to prescribe this to her in the first place. Mm-hmm. And if this was something that had been around when I was a teenager, it could have completely changed my life. Mm-hmm. And I said, so how about we come up with a game plan and allow her to try it for 3 months. And between myself and Demi and you as her doctor, we work for 3 months to see what type of progress she can make. Mm-hmm. And that's where we started her journey.
Mm-hmm. And this has worked out for you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Also joining us is Dr. Jaime Seeman, who is an obstetrician gynecologist specializing in nutrition, exercise, and health science. She is also a current fellow in integrative medicine and a board-certified ketogenic nutrition specialist. She believes there's only one way to live, and it's not being overweight. Welcome to both of you. I'm glad you're joining us.
Thank you.
You've been listening to everything we've been talking about. What did you want to say?
I used to wake up every day and my first thought was, I hate this body. I hate this body. And I came to body positivity through that pain, through that sense of, I've done a lot of things, I'm tired of living like this. And then when I went to graduate school and I started researching how weight impacted, how societal views on weight impacted things like gender. And I began to find that not only was there a strong human rights argument for ending weight discrimination, but that there was a strong evidentiary base for our views on weight and our approach, our medical approach, not having a holistic respect for the actual body of data. I think what's challenging, last thing I'm gonna say, I don't wanna talk too much, but I think a lot of our culture looks at weight through kind of a peephole. We've got that one data point that people in larger bodies have these different health outcomes than people in smaller bodies. And that's an important data point, but there's a lot of other data points around it that tell a much bigger story.
Let's talk about the data point that you are talking about, because when you look at the effects of being overweight on health and on the human body, and the risk that it imposes on the body in terms of mortality and disease, it is profound. If you're obese, you're 7 times more at risk for diabetes, 6 times more at risk for hypertension, 4 times more at risk for arthritis, 3 times for asthma, and 4 times for just having fair to poor health, as opposed to someone that is not carrying the additional weight. And that's not an opinion, that's fact. Doctor, am I telling this straight?
Yeah, you are. And I want to highlight something. I'm a human. I give compassionate care to my patients. I've not always been this healthy in my own life. I've struggled with my own body image issues. Obesity is a problem in America, and it's a problem for our long-term health and longevity, but there are thin people who are not healthy too.
Sure.
So I think we need to really separate this idea of what somebody looks like and that is what health is. Because what does health look like? My job as a medical doctor is to physically examine you, to talk to you, to check your vital signs, check some lab work, and that's really what determines how healthy or unhealthy you are.
And you don't disagree with what I was saying about the need to separate body image and self-image.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. And I think also it's important to understand, for example, it's really difficult to look at health outcomes in a vacuum. There's a story here. There's the loss, where there's really high mental health, plateau, and then there's the sort of the regain, which is very, very damaging for both the mind and the body. So I think kind of...
But what's the point?
The point is that this is the story of weight loss. That the story, people in my profession don't even call it weight loss, we call it weight cycling. Because it's not,
But you don't think you fix that by glamorizing obesity?
Well, I'm just saying that when we look at the data, which is that fundamentally this is what happens when you put somebody on a diet or you put them on a weight loss journey. What happens is they're gonna plateau and they're gonna restore, they're gonna regain. And this is the body's survival mechanism. It's actually really positive, but our culture sees it as a failure.
Doctor, what's your response to what Virgie had to say?
Well, she's discussing the fact that many obese people lose weight, plateau, and regain. This is an absolute problem because we haven't really fixed the root problem. We really are focusing on the wrong thing. We're focusing on how fat people are, how obese people are, how much body fat they have, which is not what we should be focusing on. The problem that we have in America is we're overfed and we're undernourished, and we're not focusing on muscle and lean tissue. When somebody loses 100 pounds, even on GLP-1 medications, we know on average 30 to 50% of that weight loss can be lean tissue, can be muscle. And you're putting that patient in a state where they may be just as metabolically unhealthy as if they hadn't been on the medication. And we know when they go off the medication, at a year, on average, they regain 2/3 of the weight. So although this is an excellent tool, I myself have prescribed these medications to some patients, we're not fixing the problem, which is putting ourselves in an environment to thrive by how we eat, how we move, how we sleep, how we mitigate stress, our relationships. Virgie did highlight something. This is a biopsychosocial problem. We have a biological problem within our bodies. We're obese, we're inflamed, we have diabetes, but we're in an environment where there is a psychology behind it and there's a social environment behind it and how we raise our children. So this is a difficult problem to tackle. Medication can be a tool, but it's not going to solve the long-term crisis.